She was an abandoned she-wolf stripped of her lupin instincts. A source of reviled curses across the kingdom. When the supreme Alpha King found her barely clinging to life amid ice-field ruins. No one knew the feral wolf spirit raging within him for 100 years had surrendered the moment he touched her. The first sensation that washed over me upon waking was cold. Not the ordinary chill of a winter night. It was a frost that clung to my skin like death itself. My fingers had nearly lost all feeling, and every rise and fall of my chest sliced through me like a sharp blade. The air reeked of blood, snow, and a strange, menacing scent. The scent of a wolf. I opened my eyes. Dim firelight blurred into view. A towering man stood before me. He wore a black wolf fur cloak. Silver wolf runes of the royal house carved into his pauldrons. His frame blocked most of the flame. An immovable mountain. Every rumor about him flooded my mind in an instant. Kalen Draven. The most powerful Alpha King of the Northern Marches. A war hero who had slain enemy Alphas. A ruler to whom countless wolves bent their knees. And the man who dragged me back from the icefield. Wasteland. I flinched backward instinctively. The clink of iron chains echoed through the stone cell. The man's gaze dropped to my wrists, still marked by the black irons of exiles. His eyes turned icy in an instant. Who put these on you? His voice rumbled. Devoid of warmth. I bit my lip. It has nothing to do with you. A beta knight standing behind him drew his sword at once. Insolent girl. You speak to the Alpha King. I fixed my gaze on the man. Weak as I was, barely able to stand. I lifted my chin anyway. If he truly is the Alpha all wolves revere, he ought to know exiles have no right to answer questions. Kalen's expression shifted faintly. He had not expected a dying woman to greet him with defiance rather than pleas for mercy. He stepped closer one pace. Then another. With every step, the oppressive aura of a top-tier Alpha crashed over me. My own wolf should have stirred in response. But inside me, there was only silence. They'd spoken the truth. I had no wolf. I was the moon goddess's cast-off. The shame of my clan. The curse the whole kingdom sought to erase. I'd thought I'd grown used to it, yet when he stared at me with that complicated look. A sharp twinge stabbed my chest. It was not revulsion in his eyes. It was a shock even he could not comprehend. Kalen held out a hand. I clenched my fists instantly. Don't touch me. His movement froze. Are you afraid of me? A bitter laugh tore from me, harsher than weeping. Everyone fears you. I am abandoned by the whole world. What right do I have not to be afraid? Flames flickered softly. His gaze lingered on my face for a long moment before he spoke. Tell me your name. I fell silent. No one had uttered this name gently in far too long. Elena. Elena Ashbourne. A hush crashed over the room. The elder standing behind him jerked his head upward. Ashbourne. The elderly wolf's face drained of all color in an instant. Your Majesty. She is the one who. Kalen raised a hand, cutting off all sound. He turned to me. The one who what? No one dared reply. They all knew what the name signified. The oldest curse of the Northern Marches. A woman forsaken by the moon goddess. A girl with no wolf spirit to call her own. Kalen slowly turned toward the assembly. I want the truth. The elder bowed his head low. At her Kamingafage awakening ritual. She snuffed out the sacred altar of the moon. Her very existence is deemed a harbinger of catastrophe. I listened. My heart torn open all over again. Even after all these years. Those voices echoed clear as day. She is no true wolf. She is an ill omen. Slay her. And the kingdom will be spared. I squeezed my eyes shut, forcing myself not to care. But then Kalen's voice cut through the quiet. So you cast a defenseless woman out into the ice wastes. Silence blanketed the room. I opened my eyes to his back. This man, standing before the kingdom's most loyal warriors, had burned with rage all for me. I could not understand why a lofty Alpha King would fly into anger for a discarded outcast. Until he turned around. A silver glint flashed in his eyes. His wolf spirit stirring awake. The next second, a silver mark bloomed on his wrist. My breath died in my throat. The exact same mark had appeared on my own wrist. Every face in the room paled. The mating bond, someone whispered hoarsely. Impossible. She has no wolf. How could she be the Alpha King's mate? I stared. Stunned. No. It could not be. The moon goddess who had stripped me of everything would not hand me this fate now. Kalen stared at his own wrist too. The unflappable cold king openly stunned for the first time. His wolf spirit roared in his mind, not in rage or bloodlust, but in surrender. I watched his gaze shift. A battle-hardened monarch confronting a fate he could not control. He crossed to me and curled his fingers around my wrist. Warmth seeped through my frozen skin. My heart hammered wildly. I tried to pull away, but his grip was steady. Let go of me. My voice shook. He murmured, "Do you know what this means?" "It means everyone will come for my head." I answered. He fell silent, then said, "It also means no one will ever lay a hand on you again. Starting today." I froze. The words were far too dangerous, a royal edict. More a man's vow. I had no idea that the moment he resolved to bring me back to the royal city, the entire wolf kingdom had begun drafting a death trial in my name. Nor did I know the mating bond mark was not the only secret the moon goddess had left behind. When Kalen brought me into his capital, all assumed he'd rescued a cursed cast-off. None realized what had truly stirred in the icefield ruins that day, not me, but the dormant bloodline of the first wolf king, slumbering for centuries. That same night, high within the black spire of the royal city, a figure watched prophetic flames burn and whispered my name into the dark. She has returned. The heir who should have perished long ago. When I first stepped foot inside Draven's royal city, every pair of eyes locked onto Menet in welcome. But in terror, noble wolves lined the long gallery, draped in lavish velvet robes emblazoned with clan crests. The warriors who'd followed Kalen across northern battlefields now stared at me with judgment, as if I were a plague set to destroy their realm. My fingers tightened around my sleeves. This place was colder than the ice wastes. The cold of the ice came from wind and snow. The cold here came from human hearts. "That is the girl," someone murmured amid the crowd. "No wolf spirit. Yet bound as the Alpha King's mate. The moon goddess must have lost her mind." The voices were soft, yet wolf's sharp hearing carried every word straight into my ears. I bowed my head, not out of fear, but to hide my fury. For 18 years, I'd heard these words 100 times over. I was a mistake. My birth had stained my clan. My presence would sever the wolves' protection from the moon. No one had ever stopped to ask if I'd chosen to be this abomination. Then the man beside me halted his steps. Kalen did not turn. Only spoke in a flat tone. "Continue speaking." The entire hall fell dead silent. Every noble bowed their heads. They knew their king had heard every whisper. Kalen spun around, icy eyes sweeping the assembly. "If any among you believes the moon goddess's choice is wrong, step forward now." Not a soul stirred. None dared. His alpha aura crashed outward, thickening the air until it felt solid. The haughty nobles all craned their necks to the floor. In that moment, I saw what a true Alpha King truly was. He commanded submission not with roars, but merely by standing there, reminding all of their place. A soft yet cutting voice cut through the hush. "Your Majesty." The woman seated beside the throne glided forward. She had golden hair, robed in moon-white queen's finery, her smile perfectly polished yet hollow at the eyes. Queen Isabella, Kalen's stepmother, one of the most powerful figures in the realm. She looked at me, her smile never reaching her gaze. I merely worry, can a woman without a wolf spirit truly become the future Luna Queen? My body stiffened. Luna Queen, the title meant every wolf in the kingdom must acknowledge me. But they never would. Not now. Kalen fixed his gaze on her. "She is my mate." A single sentence sent shockwaves rippling through the hall. Isabella's smile faltered for a heartbeat before smoothing back into place. "Of course. No one may defy the moon goddess's will." She stepped closer, glancing at the silver mating bond mark wrapped around my wrist. "Only. I've heard that a true mating bond completes itself when both wolf spirits merge. Yet Miss Elena." She trailed off, her gaze heavy on me. "Has no wolf at all." Silence descended again, and every gaze shifted. This was the doubt burning in all their hearts. If I was his mate, where was my wolf? I could not answer, not even for myself. Kalen fell silent too. For the first time, I saw hesitation flicker across his face. A sharp pang stabbed my chest. I knew then. He'd rescued me only because of the lunar bond. Not because of me. If one day he deemed this all a mistake, I would be cast aside once more, just as I had been before. That night, I was housed in the Silver Moon Spire, the tallest tower of the royal Sitya residence, once reserved for every past Luna queen. Yet the chamber held nothing that belonged to me, only a cold stone bed. I sat by the window, watching distant bonfires burn. When the door creaked open, I shot to my feet at once. Kalen stepped inside, unaccompanied by guards, stripped of his crown, looking nothing more than a weary man. "Why have you come?" I asked warily. He looked at me. "We need to talk. About the mating bond. About your identity." My heart plummeted. "What have you uncovered?" Kalen did not reply. He crossed to the table and set down an ancient black crest. The second I laid eyes on it, my blood ran cold. It was the long-lost royal sigil of House Ashbourne. "Where did you find this?" My voice cracked, losing its composure for the first time. Kalen stared at me. "Amid the Icefield ruins. Where you collapsed." I stumbled backward. "Impossible. That place is only for exiled criminals." Kalen spoke lowly. "No. It was once the sacred temple of the first Wolf Kingdom." My breath caught. The first Wolf Kingdom, the ancient dynasty that existed only in legend. Long thought wiped from existence. He drew near. "Elena, tell me, who are you truly?" I parted my lips. Yet no words came out. I did not know the answer myself. Only then did I realize my exile had never stemmed from my lack of a wolf spirit. They'd cast me away because they feared what I truly possessed. A shrill alarm blared outside the Silver Moon Spire. A wolf's howl tearing through the night sky. The next instant, a blood-soaked royal warrior burst into the chamber. "Your Majesty, the palace is under attack." Kalen whirled around. "By whom?" The warrior dropped to his knees, his face ashen. "The northern old clans. They bear proof. They claim Miss Elena is not an exiled outcast. She is the last heir of the first Wolf Kingdom." Dead silence swallowed the room. When Kalen's eyes landed on me, I understood everything. From this night onward, my bond with him would no longer be merely a love tie, but a war that would decide the fate of the entire wolf world. Beyond the city walls, banners calling for royal blood had already been raised. I'd once thought the worst fate imaginable was being shunned by an entire kingdom. That night, I learned something far more terrifying. Once the world learned who you truly were, they would live in fear of your survival. The Silver Moon Spire's alarm blared through the entire night. Every torch in the palace was lit. Countless wolf warriors roused from sleep, donning armor and shifting into massive silver-gray wolf forms to man the city walls. I stood atop the highest tower, listening to the chaos of footsteps below, feeling like a catastrophe waiting to unfold. Kalen stood by the window. His shadow stretched long by moonlight. He'd donned his black battle armor, the silver wolf crest on his pauldron blazing amid the flamisa symbol of the Alphaking's power. Yet his gaze never left me. "Do you know why they fear you?" he asked. I let out a hollow laugh. "Because they see me as a monster." "No." Kalen turned to face me. "They fear you because you hold the right to sit upon the throne." I stared in shock. Me, a girl with no wolf spirit. He stepped closer, his voice deep. "Elena, do you truly believe every story they've fed you?" I fell silent. I had believed them once, me father's cold stares, the elders' icy verdict, every truth the world had hammered into me. But if they'd only hated me, why send assassins to slay me? Why abandon me to die in the ice wastes? Why had my blood woken the ancient ruins? I glanced down at my hands, the silver bond mark still etched into my wrist. An unescapable chain of fate. "I don't know," I whispered. "All I've ever done since birth is lose things." Kalen's voice softened, stripped of the Alpha King's coldness for the first time. "Lose what?" My throat tightened. "My family, my identity, my dignity." Even my wolf. The room fell quiet. Kaelan did not answer at once. After a long pause, he said, "My wolf once lost itself too." I lifted my head. This was the first time he'd spoken of his own past. "What do you mean?" His hands clenched, a flicker of agony flashing in his eyes. My wolf's spirit was not born this violent and powerful. When I shifted for the first time at 15, my wolf killed the man who sought to subdue it. I froze, including my father. The air turned solid. I had never imagined the invincible Alpha King carried such an unhealed wound. Kaelan murmured. From that day on, all feared me, yet none dared draw near. They saw only their king, not Kaelan. My heart twisted with empathy. In that moment, I realized the man revered by thousands was just as isolated by fate as I was. The chamber door crashed open once more, a frantic Beta royal attendant rushing inside. "Your Majesty, the Council of Elders demands an immediate blood moon trial." Kaelan's expression hardened. "On what grounds?" The Beta bowed his head, glancing at me. "They claim Miss Elena's existence violates the Lunar Codex." My fingers curled tight. I'd known this would come. They would never accept me. Kaelan asked, "Anything else?" The Beta hesitated. "They demand the mating bond be severed." The temperature in the room plummeted. I looked to Kaelan, waiting for his answer. This was the real question. Without the bond, would he still stand by me? Kaelan fell silent for a moment, then spoke. "Tell them the trial will convene at dawn. I will attend in person." Once the Beta left, I turned to him. "You could refuse." Kaelan frowned. "Refuse what?" "Refuse to acknowledge me." My voice barely carried. "You are the Alpha King, ruler of this whole realm. There is no need to clash with every noble over an exiled girl." Kaelan stared at me for a long time before speaking. "Elena, do you think I brought you back solely for the mating bond?" I said nothing. The answer seemed plain enough. He crossed to me, close enough I could feel his body heat, his aura wrapping around me. Powerful, dangerous, yet no longer frightening. "If it were only the bond," he said, "I would not have trekked 3 days and 3 nights through the ice wastes carrying a girl on the brink of death." My heart skipped a beat. "Then why?" Kaelan's silver eyes, the same eyes that struck terror into enemies, swirled with an emotion I could not name. "Because my wolf told me you cannot die." My breath faltered, but a deafening crash cut our conversation short. The entire palace shook violently. Outside the window, an enormous black wolf silhouette loomed over the city walls, far larger and more sinister than any wolf form I had ever seen. Every guard dropped to their knees, recognizing the scent instantly. Valen Mulder, the enemy Alpha. The northern tyrant Kaelan had defeated yet failed to slay. His voice boomed across the entire royal city. "Kaelan Draven, you finally found her." My face blanched. He knew me. Impossible. I had never laid eyes on him. But his next words turned my blood to ice. "Surrender the blood of the first wolf dynasty, or I will bury your entire Draven kingdom alongside her." Kaelan stepped in front of me, shielding me from all danger. Yet my attention fixed on Valen's final taunt. "Elena, you do not yet know your mother never died. She has been locked deep within the palace dungeons this whole time." My world shattered in an instant. I could not say how long I stood frozen. The enemy Alpha's wolf howl echoing outside, palace bells ringing non-stop as warriors gathered on the walls. All I could hear was that single sentence, "Your mother lives." It sliced through the only truth I'd clung to for 18 years. The woman who'd vanished shortly after my birth, the one everyone claimed had perished in a northern storm, was still alive. I turned to Kaelan, his face colder than ever before. "Valen's words cannot be trusted," he said, yet doubt lingered in his tone. In that instant, I knew he suspected the truth too. "What do you know?" My voice trembled. Kaelan hesitated. "Elena, tell me." I raised my voice at him for the first time. "Did you know something all along?" Candlelight wavered in the chamber. Kaelan did not look away from my gaze. "I know your mother was the last matriarch of House Ashbourne. I know she vanished 18 years ago. I also know all records of her death were sealed by the royal house." My fingers turned numb. "Why?" Kaelin offered no reply. The answer was already clear. Someone had buried the truth. Someone feared I would uncover my past. A royal horn blared from the great hall. The blood moon trial had begun. I followed Kaelin into the palace's grand throne room, packed with the kingdom's most powerful figures. The Council of Elders, ducal clans, royal knights, and Queen Isabella, seated high above, watching me with her unchanging soft smile. I finally understood now. Some gentleness cut deeper than any blade. Your Majesty. The head elder rose slowly, his white wolf robes trailing across stone steps. Per the lunar codex, any mate who threatens the stability of the realm must stand trial. Kaelin stood at my side. What charges does she face? The head elder's gaze locked on me. First, she bears no wolf spirit. Second, she awakened the ancient ruins. Third, she drew the enemy Alpha to our gates. Murmurs rippled through the hall. I heard whispers. The ill omen has arrived. She will destroy the kingdom. A weight pressed against my chest. They only ever saw the danger I brought, never who had forced that danger upon me. Kaelin stepped forward, unleashing his overwhelming alpha aura to fill the entire hall. She is my mate. And my guest. None may harm her without proof. The head elder frowned. Your Majesty. You stand against the entire council for a single woman. Kaelin's cold gaze settled on him. No. I stand to stop you from repeating the mistakes you made 18 years prior. Silence crashed over the hall. My heart skipped a beat. 18 years prior. A mistake. The head elder's face paled, and Queen Isabella's polished smile slipped for the very first time. I turned to Kaelin. You knew. He did not glance at me. Continuing his address to the assembly, House Ashbourne was not exterminated due to a curse. They were wiped out because others feared their bloodline. A roar of shock rippled through the hall. Every noble's face drained of color. I stood stunned, hearing a story utterly foreign to me. My clan had not been abandoned by the moon goddess, they had been destroyed by men. Enough. The queen's voice cut through the chaos. She rose to her feet slowly. Your Majesty, you must know spreading unsubstantiated ancient hearsay will destabilize the realm, especially regarding a girl with no wolf spirit. I looked straight at her. No trace of fear left in me. Your Grace, why do you fear me learning the truth so deeply? Her expression froze for a split second before smoothing back to calm. I act only to protect the kingdom, or to protect your secrets. My words hung in the air, and the hall fell utterly silent. Every pair of eyes swiveling toward the queen. Kaelin stared at me, shock flickering across his face. This was the first time I had dared challenge the seat of power. Isabella's gaze turned frigid at last. Do you think bearing the king's mate bond grants you leave to question all of us? I lifted my chin. No. I speak because I survived and I deserve to know the truth. In that moment, Kaelin watched me, a flicker of unmissable emotion in his eyes, not pity, not sympathy, but admiration. For the first time, he saw not a broken exile, but a woman who would not bow. Even broken and bleeding, the trial pressed onward. The head elder demanded my bloodline be verified. A royal healer carried forward an ancient crystal relic. All waited for the result. If the crystal remained dull, I would become a laughingstock once more. If it blazed with power, I would become every noble's mortal enemy. I stretched out my hand, fingertips brushing the crystal. In the next heartbeat, every flame in the hall snuffed out. Every wolf in the room froze rigid. Out of the darkness loomed an ancient wolf spirit. Unlike any ordinary wolf, shifter, golden eyes, massive feathered wings, and a crown mark of the ancient royal line etched into its forehead. The elders all dropped to their knees at once. Impossible. The first wolf king, someone stammered. She has no wolf spirit. Her wolf comes from an era before the moon goddess herself. My body went rigid, and even Kaelin stared at me in shock. But before anyone could process the sight, the crystal split apart, black runes spilling forth to coil around my wrist. The head elder's face turned ashen. Slay her at once. Why? Kaelin spun around sharply. The elder stared at me, his voice shaking. What she bears sealed within her is not power, it is the primordial wolf that once laid waste to the entire wolf world. My blood turned to ice. At that exact moment, Queen Isabella let her true smile spread across her lips. She whispered softly, "At last. She has awakened." I stared at her, a cold dread settling deep in my bones. I finally understood. None of this had been accident. My exile, the hunters sent to kill me, even Kaelan finding Meal had been part of a single master plan. And the architect stood right there in the hall with us. A suffocating silence blanketed the throne room. Every gaze fixed on me. Fear, shock, greed, and hidden murder intent swirling in their eyes. I stood before the shattered crystal, my breath growing heavier by the second. The wolf spirit I'd seen moments before was unlike any beast I knew. No feral rage, no wild savagery, only an ancient, suffocating majesty. As if it had once stood atop the wolf world, ruling all kingdoms. The head elder's voice still trembled. "She must be sealed away." Kaelan stepped between me and the assembly. "On what grounds? Your Majesty, you saw it with your own eyes." The elder argued. "The spirit within her is no ordinary wolf, it is the ruinous beast of the first dynasty." Murmurs rippled through the nobles. "The legends are true. The curse of the first royal house has returned." My fingers trembled not from fear of them, but from the sudden realization the monster they all feared might have lived inside me all along. Kaelan sensed my distress and murmured, "Elena, look at me." I lifted my head to meet his silver eyes. "Are you afraid of yourself?" The question caught me off guard. I had never considered it before. I feared the world's judgment, but never myself feared the day all their warnings would prove true. That I would become the monster who destroyed the realm. What if they are right? I whispered faintly. Kaelan did not step back. "Then I will see the truth for myself. I will not let others decide who you are." My heart shattered. For 18 years, no one had ever told me my fate belonged to my own hands. Once the blood moon trial ended, Kaelan led me from the hall. Before we could exit the gallery, Queen Isabella blocked our path. Unaccompanied by guards, standing alone. "Your Majesty," she purred, "will you truly stand against the entire realm for this girl?" Kaelan halted. "Step aside." Isabella's gaze shifted to me. "Elena, do you know your mother was just like you once?" My body stiffened. "What do you mean?" She smiled thinly. "Stubborn, refusing to accept fate's design. In the end, she brought ruin to everyone." I stared at her. "Did you kill her?" The air turned frigid. A crack split the queen's composed expression, vanishing as quickly as it appeared. Children always crave a single villain to blame, to make their suffering easier to bear. Kaelan advanced a single step, his icy aura sending the chamber's flames flickering wildly. "Isabella, I warn you, do not test the limits of my mercy again." Isabella looked at him, her gaze tangled with complex emotion. "Kaelan, do you truly believe the mating bond is fate? What if the moon goddess chose wrong?" Kaelan said nothing. Yet I watched his hands clench. Tithe had wondered the very same thing once too. That night, sleep evaded me. Every sound echoing through the silver moon spire set my nerves on edge. Wind whistling past the windows sounded like hushed whispers. I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the silver bond mark wrapped around my wrist. When the door creaked open, I shot upright. "Who's there?" No reply. The door swung fully open, and an elderly woman stepped inside the royal healer, clutching an ancient scroll of parchment. "Miss Elena, I have waited so long for you." I gripped a hidden dagger at my waist. "Who are you?" The elder's eyes glistened with tears. "I tended your mother long ago." My breath caught in my throat. "What?" She stepped forward and laid the scroll on the table. 18 years ago. Your mother did not die. She sent you into hiding with House Ashbourne, knowing they would come for you one day." I stared at the parchment. Impossible. If she lived, why never return for me? The elder fell silent for a long moment before speaking. "She was sealed beneath the palace dungeons, and the one who bound her there." She lifted her gaze to meet mine. "Is the woman seated beside your throne?" My blood ran cold. "Queen Isabella." Yet the elder spoke another sentence that okay me to my core. "But Elena, your mother hid a truth from you too." I frowned. "What truth?" The elder slowly unfurled the scroll. revealing an ancient portrait. A woman with silver eyes identical to mine stood painted there, beside a young man whose face was an exact match for Kaelin's. I stumbled backward. That cannot be, the elder whispered. Your mother left a prophecy. She said your mate would be neither foe nor ordinary wolf, would be the one destined to end your clan's curse. My heart raced faster and faster. In that moment, I understood. Kaelin finding me had not been the first meeting. Long before my birth, our fates had been written in the moon goddess's prophecies. Before I could press her for more answers, a deafening wolf howl erupted outside the silver moon spire, not an enemy alarm, but every wolf in the royal city bowing in unison. The elder's face drained of color. It is too late. I looked to her. What has happened? She stared out the window, her voice shaking. Your wolf spirit has fully awakened. The next instant, a black moon unlike any natural lunar phase hung over the entire royal city, and Kaelin's wolf spirit lost all control for the first time before every wolf under his rule. The moment the black moon rose, Draven's royal city descended into panic. I stood at the silver moon spire's window, staring up at the unnatural dark lunar disk, an invisible hand squeezing tight around my chest. The elder had said my wolf spirit had fully awakened. Yet I could not understand why Kaelin had lost control, or why every wolf in the city bowed low. Then I heard his voice, not from outside the door, but echoing deep within my soul. Elena. The tone was low, tortured, unmistakably Kaelin's. I spun around. Where is he? The elder's face was pale. The throne hall. Hurry if you delay. She did not finish her sentence. Yet I knew the truth. If I arrived too late, the revered Alpha King might turn into a mindless beast. I burst into the throne hall, and the sight before me burned itself permanently into my memory. Every royal warrior knelt on the stone floor, none daring to draw near. At the center of the stone steps stood a colossal silver-black wolf, thrashing in agony far larger than any wolf-shifter I had ever seen. Claws sinking deep into the flagstones, ragged heaves tearing from its chest, silver fire blazing in its eyes. Kaelinth man who had never bowed to a single foe battled against his own wolf spirit, losing himself to its ferocity. Your Majesty, a beta knight shouted, do not draw near. Your wolf spirit has slipped its bonds. I halted in my tracks, every eye fixed on me, someone screaming in terror. She's here. She drove the king mad. Kill her. The massive wolf's head snapped upward the second the words left their mouth. A thunderous howl shook the entire throne hall, sending every warrior stumbling backward. Yet its blazing eyes did not fix on the crowd, they locked only on me. I felt no fear, only a strange familiarity, as if the deadly beast fought desperately to hold itself back from hurting me. I stepped forward slowly. Kaelin. No reply. I kept walking closer. Look at me. The wolf's breathing grew ragged, low growls rumbling in its throat, a warning for me to flee. Yet I knew it was not a threat, only protection. I stretched out a hand. You once said no one gets to decide who I am. Now do not let your wolf spirit decide who you are. The entire hall held its breath. The second my palm touched its forehead, a burst of silver light exploded outward, yanking my consciousness into an unfamiliar realm. No palace, no war, only endless darkness, and a young boy standing within it. Kaelin, far younger than the man I knew, kneeling amid a pool of blood, cradling his dead father in his arms. Voices roared all around him. Monster! His wolf slew his own alpha. He is unfit to rule. I froze. This was the wound he had hidden all his life. I walked toward him. Young Kaelin lifted his head, no trace of royal pride in his eyes, only a child's terror. Stay away from me, he whispered. I will hurt you. A sharp ache pierced my heart. Those words echoed exactly what the world had told me for 18 years. I knelt before him, meeting his gaze. I once believed I was a monster too. Young Kaelin stared in shock. I held out my hand. If we are both monsters, why did the moon goddess bind us together? The darkness crumbled around us. I jolted awake, lying cradled in Kaelin's arms. His wolf form vanished, returned to human flesh. His hands clung tight to mine, as if terrified I would vanish. The throne hall fell utterly silent. All had witnessed the impossible. The alpha wolf spirit that had raged unchecked for 100 years had been calmed by my touch. Kalen slowly opened his eyes. The first words he spoke were no royal command. No question, only a quiet murmur. "Are you hurt?" My heart fluttered softly. "You nearly destroyed the entire throne hall. And your first thought is for me." He fell silent. Then whispered, "They can all die. You cannot." Every warrior bowed their heads. In that moment, all finally understood I was not a force controlling him, I was the only thing keeping his humanity anchored. Yet peace did not last long. The next dawn, a royal messenger brought word of new enemy movements. Valen, the foreign alpha, had issued a new challenge, but this time he did not demand my surrender. He proposed a political marriage. Kalen must sever our mating bond and wed Valen's sister, or Valen would march his northern rebel army to war. The great hall erupted into debate. Some nobles argued the marriage was necessary to avoid bloodshed. Others insisted I be sacrificed. As I was the root of all conflict, I stood in the center of the hall, listening as they bargained away my fate, until Kalen's voice cut through the noise. "Enough." Every voice died instantly. He rose to his feet, sweeping his gaze across the assembled nobles. "My mate is no bargaining chip. The realm's peace will not be bought with the life of an innocent girl." Queen Isabella let out a cold laugh. "Your Majesty, are you certain? Is one woman worth sacrificing your entire kingdom?" Kalen's gaze turned to me. I had expected to see the cold Alpha King once more. Yet all I saw was a man who had made his choice. "She is not my weakness," he said. "She is the future I choose." My heart skipped a beat. But before anyone could process his words, a royal guard burst into the hall, his face deathly pale. "Your Majesty, disaster in the dungeons." Kalen frowned. "What has happened?" The guard's eyes darted to me. "The woman sealed away for 18 years. She has woken." My blood turned to ice. Everyone knew who that woman was. My mother. And the first words she'd spoken upon waking were, "Tell Elena never to trust Kalen Draven." I could not recall how I made my way to the dungeons. Kalen walked ahead of me the entire journey, neither of us speaking. The silence heavier than any screaming argument. Her warning echoed endlessly in my mind. Never trust Kalen Draven. I stared at the man's broad back, still straight and powerful beneath his armor. Yet for the first time I sensed countless secrets hidden beneath his royal plate. "Kalen," I said at last. He paused, not turning to face me. "Yes, you knew my mother was alive." It was not a question, a flat statement of fact. A long silence stretched out. "I knew." His answer sent my heart plummeting. I clenched my fists. "Why did you never tell me?" Kalen slowly turned to me. No evasion in his eyes, only exhaustion. I did not know if she remained unharmed, nor if she was still the woman she once was. A bitter laugh escaped me. "So you chose to lie for me, decided I should live trapped in falsehoods." Kalen's brows drew tight. "Elena." "No." I cut him off, my voice trembling. "Every single one of you has done this. My father, the queen, the elders, and now you too. You all think I am too weak to bear the truth. So you decide my life for me." Kalen's gaze deepened slowly. "I never saw you as weak. Then why hide the truth this time?" He fell silent, and his silence stung worse than any reply. The dungeons lay beneath the palace, untouched by sunlight, lit only by the faint glow of ancient binding runes. When the guards unlocked the final iron gate, a familiar scent washed over Menet Wolf. But blood. My blood. Chains bound a woman to the stone chamber center, draped in tattered white robes. Her hair faded to silver gray. When she lifted her head, I froze completely. Her eyes mirrored mine exactly. "Elena," she whispered my name, tears spilling down her cheeks the next instant. "My child." I stood rooted to the spot, unable to move. For 18 years I had imagined this reunion 100 times over. She would hold me close, explain why she'd left, tell me where she'd been all these years. Now that the moment had arrived, I had no words to speak. "Why?" My voice cracked with hoarseness. "Why never come find me?" The woman closed her eyes, tears streaming freely. I could not. They threatened to take your life if I tried. My breath hitched. Who? She did not answer, only glanced toward Kaelin. My body stiffened. Why look at him? My mother's gaze swirled with tangled emotion. Elena. Do you know why House Ashbourne was destroyed all those years ago? I shook my head. Because we uncovered a secret, she said, her voice shaking. A secret about the Draven royal line. Every face in the chamber shifted. Kaelin's guards instinctively gripped their weapons. Yet Kaelin did not stop her from speaking. Continue. My mother fixed her eyes on him. 18 years ago, your father, the previous Alphaking, did not die in battle. Kaelin's face turned icy. Do not speak of my father, because the one who killed him was not an enemy. She pressed on. It was your own royal house. Dead silence filled the dungeon. My heart hammered faster and faster as she continued. The Draven royal line has long known the first Wolf King's bloodline survived. They feared its return. So they hunted the heir and they found you. I stumbled backward. So they slaughtered my clan. No. My mother shook her head. They sought to control you. Your blood can unlock the ancient throne. But they did not know the true key to awakening its power. She looked to Kaelin. It is your mate. My gaze drifted slowly to Kaelin. His face drained of color. What does that mean? My mother whispered. The first wolf dynasty left a prophecy. When the lost royal blood resurfaces, she must bond with an alpha-bearing black wolf blood. Only his wolf spirit can unlock your true power. My breath vanished. Black wolf blood, Kaelin. So finding me had never been chance. My fingers turned cold. You knew all along. You knew I was the prophesied heir. Kaelin did not den. Wyatt. In that moment, my whole world shattered to pieces. You rescued me only because I am the key to the ancient throne. Kaelin's expression crumpled. That is not true. Elena, let me explain. Yet my heart could not listen anymore. All the pain of years past crashed back over me. Being used, abandoned, treated as a tool. I stepped backward. I finally understand now. Even the moon goddess chose me only to use me. The next instant, my wolf spirit erupted forth, shaking the dungeon to its foundations. Every ancient rune blazing bright. My mother's face paled in terror. No, it is far too soon. Kaelin lunged toward me. Elena. It was already too late. A powerful tide of raw power swallowed my consciousness. And an ancient voice echoed in the dark, not the moon goddess. Not my own wolf spirit, but a being slumbering for 1,000 years. At last, the heir of the first royal house has returned. Now you must fulfill your true destiny. Visions flooded my mind. Mountains of corpses. Seas of blood. A burning royal city. And Kaelin standing before an ancient throne. A bloodied sword gripped in his hand. Its tip pointed straight at my chest. I woke to a world unrecognizable. No dungeons. No palace. No Kaelin, only smoldering ruins stretching endless before me. Black storm clouds choking the sky. Distant castles collapsing in flames. The wailing of countless wolves echoing across the wasteland. I stood barefoot on blood-soaked stone. My heart colder than the ground beneath my feet. Replaying the vision over and over. Kaelin before the throne. Sword raised to pierce my chest. No. I stumbled backward. It cannot be real. The ancient voice rumbled again. Cold and ageless. As if spoken by 1,000 ghosts. Fate's ending is already written. Last blood of Ashbourne. Your mate will be the one to slay you. I clapped my hands over my ears. Be silent. Who are you? A colossal wolf spirit materialized from the darkness. Golden eyes identical to the one that had awakened within me at the trial, yet this time I felt no awe. Only unbridled danger. I am the power sealed within you. It murmured. The guardian left by the first royal house. And the key that will unmake this world. I stared at it. Is this why all fear me? The wolf spirit offered no reply. Only said. They know once your power awakens fully. Every wolf in the world will bow before you. I jolted back to reality. The first sensation was warmth, someone holding my hand. I opened my eyes to see Kaelin sitting beside my bed. Stripped of royal robes and crown. watching over me all night like an ordinary man rather than a king. When he saw I had woken, his expression shifted instantly. Elena. His voice was hoarse. I said nothing, pulling my hand away from his grasp. The single gesture froze his features solid. Once, a single glance from him could silence an entire hall. Now a small movement of mine stripped him of all royal authority. You remember what happened? He asked. I met his eyes. I remember. Then you must understand why I hesitated to trust you. Kaelin fell silent. I believed you once. I said. I believed you'd rescued me. Believed you'd said my fate belonged to me alone. I thought you were different from all the rest. Kaelin squeezed his eyes shut, bearing some invisible agony. I admit I knew your identity from the start. And I knew the prophecy. A fresh stab of pain pierced my chest. So it is true. You drew near me only because I am the heir of the first wolf royal house. No. He replied at once. Without hesitation. That was never it. I stared at him. Then what was it? Kaelin stood. The proud Alpha King bearing his vulnerability for the very first time before me. The first time I saw you was in the ice wastes, not because of prophecy. Not for the throne. It was because my wolf chose you. I froze. Your wolf. Kaelin's gaze locked onto mine. That wolf has walked beside me all my life. It trusts no one. Never has. Yet the moment it laid eyes on you, it surrendered to you. Elena. If I'd only sought to use you, I would not have carried a dying girl through 3 days and nights of frozen wasteland. Tears stung my eyes as I recalled the hazy memory of that day. A warm embrace wrapping around me as my consciousness faded. A voice whispering, do not die. I command you to live. It had not been a hallucination after all. Before I could bring myself to trust him again. A war horn blared outside the palace walls. A knight sprinted into the chamber. Your Majesty, enemy forces have broken through the northern border defenses. Kaelin snapped back into the cold composure of an Alpha King. Who leads them? The knight bowed his head. Valen. He commands the Black Moon Legion. My heart sank. The Black Moon Legion, a fabled army of cursed wolves. Stripped of all reason. Driven only by bloodlust. The knight continued his report. And Queen Isabella has vanished. Kaelin's eyes turned ice cold. What? She left a letter. The knight held out a scroll of parchment. Kaelin unfurled it. And his face paled instantly. I stepped close to read the single line scrawled across the page. The true war is never fought, for the throne it is waged to unlock the moon goddess's sealed gate. My blood ran cold. I understood at last. Isabella had never intended to kill me. She had wanted my power to awaken all along. Planning to use my blood to unlock something far more terrible. The entire palace began to shake. Stone splitting open. Ancient glowing runes rising from beneath the earth. Every wolf in the realm dropped to their knees as a voice boomed upward from deep within the ground. The first royal blood has returned. The seal is broken. The gate of darkness shall soon open. Kaelin laced his fingers through mine. And this time I did not pull away. Whatever fate had written, whatever prophecies spoke of betrayal, we faced a shared enemy now. Beyond the city walls, Valen stood atop the back of a colossal black wolf, watching the awakened ancient gate and smiling. At last, our age has come. Behind him stood a man who should have been dead, the father I'd grieved for 18 years. The last Alpha of House Ashbourne. He stared toward the royal city and spoke slowly. Elena. You have finally become the key that will unleash the end of all things.